We're a quarter way through the NFL season, so it's time to talk about some big updates I've made to my Dynasty rankings. I've got 6 buys and sells for you right now. We're going to get kicked off with the running back position, and we're going to start with none other than Bucky Irving, one of my favorite players in all of football. I've absolutely tried to get him on every single roster I can. Yes, he's currently injured. I understand that that injury could linger. He did not play in week 5. He will not play this week, week 6. But I think given the future he has, he's only 23 years old. If we step back and we look at his stats, he's RB17 on the season, and he didn't play last week. And I don't expect that injury to really carry over and impact him long term. I mean, if we look last year, he was RB14. He had just over 200 rushing attempts and still had almost 1,100 yards. He had 8 touchdowns on the ground, averaged 5.42 yards per carry. Tons of work in the passing game. I mean, this offense is humming. Bucky Irving is one of my favorite buys. I just think he's one of those guys that you should try and get on your team. If you can buy the injury dip, absolutely do it. I had a pretty good roster where I was able to take Nico Collins and Jalen Warren and net Bucky plus a bunch of first-round picks. So I think he's one of those guys that I would be going to get if I can. Now, again, you have to be able to withstand the fact that he's not currently playing. And if you can do that, you should. I mean, he's a top 5 running back to me, in my opinion. I think when he comes back, he's going to immediately just go back to what he was doing. Rachaad White is a serviceable running back, but he's not a guy that can command a workload or lead this offense. Bucky is the guy for this team, and I think they're going to just continue to feed him once he is back. I mean, if we look at what he's done so far this year, I mean, he's top 12 in points per touch, top 12 in points per attempt. If you step back and look at the elusive ratings, missed tackle forced, he's fantastic in that. I mean, he's one of those guys that you need to find a way to get on your team. He's just electric with the ball in his hands, and I absolutely love him if I can go get him. And I think slotting him at RB7 is just too low for me. He's a guy that has an elite ceiling at 23 years old and a fantastic offense. We should be going to get him. Now let's talk about a sell, though, and it's going to be Woody Marks. Now, I understand this is a lower running back, but in my personal rankings, I have him currently listed at RB37. If you pull up Keep Trade Cut over there, he's RB28. So a pretty big distance gap there for me. And I just think that the value is a little bit too high. I think you can capitalize and go get another serviceable veteran, maybe a pick thrown in for a guy like Woody Marks on a rebuilding team or a team that's kind of bought in. If you step back and look at what he's done this season, it's not that impressive to me. He did have the week 4 game against the Titans where he had 25.9 points, 17 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown, added 4 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown. But other than that, it's been real quiet. I mean, we're talking about games all below 5 points, one game of 5.6 points. It's not anything that's going to blow you away. And I think that just where he's at right now, it's not the offense I want to buy into. I mean, the offensive line has struggled. Nick Chubb has been useful enough, and I think they're going to continue to feed him. Now, certainly Woody Marks is the interesting rookie, but I think I would rather re-roll him into a new pick and a veteran if I could do it, just given the fact that what he is. I mean, if we step back and look at the snaps too, he's only had 50% of the snaps or more one time this season, and after that big game he had in week 4, he followed that up with 7 carries for 24 yards and just a target, and he only had 39% of the snaps. So I just expect that that's probably not the move that you would want to make long term, and I would be looking to move him off my roster, especially if I could tier up into some other running backs in that same range. I mean, we're talking about guys like I would rather have Ollie Gordon, and I think you can get a plus on top of that. I'd rather have Tony Pollard, and I think you could probably get that deal done. Jalen Warren, David Montgomery, J.K. Dobbins. Those are all names that I would be considering to move Woody Marks to go get a better running back for my team right now and possibly in the future. But let's switch over to the wide receiver position, and let's start with Jordan Addison. And Addison's a story of it's a lot what happened with this season. He starts off with a suspension, so he doesn't necessarily have all the stats that these other players do. He's currently my wide receiver 18 in my dynasty rankings, and that falls really close to where he's at in the past 2 seasons, where he's finished as wide receiver 20 and 21 respectively. I think he's such a great player, and we kind of take for granted what he is, just given the fact that he plays alongside Justin Jefferson. If we look at his stats so far this season, I mean, he's another one of these big play guys. He's a solid player. He's one of the top guys in YAC. He's got the history in the offense. I mean, I'm chasing players in the Vikings offense. I understand it hasn't been great so far, but Kevin O'Connell's a fantastic coach, and he finds a way to get both of these wide receivers involved. When Addison and Jefferson play together, they lead the league in dig routes. So we're talking about big plays where they can get 10 to 15 yards a catch and then have the opportunity for yards after the catch. And Addison has excelled in that in his career thus far. I mean, last year he had 63 catches for 875 yards and 9 touchdowns. The year before that, 70 catches for 911 yards and 10 touchdowns. So he finds a way to score when he is in these games. He's only played 2 games this year, 14 targets, 9 catches, 155 yards, and a touchdown. Again, I said he's one of those yak leaders so far this season, and I understand this a little bit skewed because he did miss the start just because of the suspension. The team's on bye this week. I would be looking in to see if I could go and get him now before he blows up to go through the rest of the season. I do think that the offense will get better. Carson Wentz, this is temporary. I think that J.J. McCarthy is going to get better. I mean, we've seen this offense use all sorts of quarterbacks, and all of them have exceeded. I don't see why JJ can't do it. Obviously, I'm someone that was believing in him prior to that, so I understand there's some confirmation bias there, but I do think no matter what happens, this team is going to find a way to score points because Kevin O'Connell is that good at his job. And I just think that him being currently wide receiver 23 over on Keep Trade Cut gives you some opportunity to get a little bit of a bump up and maybe find a way to go get him on your roster. I would absolutely move a late first-round pick if I could go and get him. And I'd be willing to throw in a little bit extra if that person needed it, or find a way to swap out some veterans or other positional players if needed. I mean, he's absolutely someone I want to find a way to get on my team. Now let's talk about another wide receiver here, and this is going to be a big one. I think a lot of people are going to fight this. It's going to be George Pickens, and currently he's a dynasty sell for me. Now again, as I said to start the season, this is all team dependent, league dependent, and settings dependent. So if you're a competing team and you have George Pickens, you should probably keep him. I mean, he's playing well. He's finding a way to score points for you, but I do have concerns about it long term. It's TD inflated. He's got 5 touchdowns on the season in just 5 games so far. That's obviously a great start of the year, but it's not sustainable. While this offense is absolutely rolling and humming right now in Dallas, I think that if you step back and look, average depth of target for him, he's 47th overall. Yak, he's 71st overall. These are concerning numbers for me. If you step back and look at the box scores so far this season, he only has 1 game of over 70 yards, and he only has 1 game of over 5 catches. And that's an 8-catch game against Green Bay 2 weeks ago where he had 29 points and 2 touchdowns. So that's kind of the game that's inflating his stats. I understand he's a top 10 wide receiver right now as it sits. 23 catches, 357 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's great, and I think that's awesome, but I don't think it's sustainable. Eventually, this team will get CeeDee Lamb back, and that's the clear-cut one. Now, Dak Prescott is playing at an unbelievable level, but he's spreading the ball around, and I think that's going to continue. Javonte Williams has been a surprise. Jake Ferguson has been well. I just think that there's better opportunities for you to use a guy like George Pickens. If you're on a rebuilding team or maybe you're not sure if you're going to make the playoffs, I would absolutely be looking to see if I could move off of him. I mean, again, he's my wide receiver 26. If we pull up Keep Trade Cut, he's currently wide receiver 18. That's way too high for me. I think if we step back and look at some of the names that are in my rankings around 18, it would be guys like Addison, who we just talked about, Zay Flowers, Chris Olave, Travis Hunter. Those are all names that I would rather have over George Pickens. I mean, yes, he's a 24-year-old wide receiver, but he struggles to separate and he struggles to make plays after the catch. He's obviously going to be great making contested catches. He's going to find a way to get in the end zone, but I think he's just a little bit limited for what I would want as my wide receiver 2 or 3. But if he's your flex or maybe your wide receiver 3, you can get away with it, but I don't think he can be your wide receiver 2 long term, and that's what we're talking about here in Dynasty. Well, let's switch over to the tight end position, and let's start with Colston Loveland. Now, this is another one of those picks that it's just about time. He hasn't played that much this season. Part of that is due to injury. He had the bye in week 5, so his stats aren't necessarily that great. I mean, if we look at what he's done so far this year, it's only 6 targets, 3 catches for 43 yards. I understand that's not a lot. And if we broke it down just by that, he's going to be one of those guys that is a surprisingly good ADOT. He's 4th overall. I understand it's skewed, though. It's only 6 targets, but we have to look at what this offense is doing. They're getting better. Caleb Williams has gotten better each week. I think they continue to gain confidence. They're spreading the ball around, and the draft capital was so high. Not to mention, he's only 21 years old, so there's lots of time for him to grow into this role. He was the 10th overall pick, so I expect them to find a way to get the ball in his hands and start working him in as the year goes on. Cole Kmet is a serviceable tight end, but he's not the tight end for the future of this team. Colston Loveland is a big-time playmaker. If you throw on his tape from Michigan, he made all sorts of plays, and I'm not concerned about the start. It's going to take some time for him. He's young. He's got the athleticism to make the plays. He's got great hands. He's going to be fine in this offense. We saw it in the preseason. We saw it in his limited opportunities so far this year. He's going to be better as we move forward. So he's one of my buys. He's my tight end 6 right now. If you go pull up keep trade cut, he's currently the tight end 7. I understand that's not a huge difference, but just given the fact of how he's done this season, underperforming, the injury, I would go check in with the manager, see if you can get him. Because if you're in a tight end premium league, he's absolutely going to be someone you could probably steal away for cheaper than what he's actually worth. I mean, we're talking about a guy that was a late first-round pick in a lot of fantasy drafts this past year. And if you were in savvy leagues, sometimes he was going at the 106, 107, just given the fact that it was a tight end premium. So I think that he's one of those guys that I would try and find a way to get on my team if possible, just given the fact he's so young and there's so much potential there, especially at a position like tight end, where we're always looking for the next guy who can shoot up and be one of those plug-and-play guys you don't have to worry about. But let's talk about a sell. And again, this is one of those where it depends on your team. If you're competing, I would hold, and I totally understand why. Jake Ferguson, he's a sell for me. He's my tight end 13 in Dynasty rankings, and I understand that's probably a little too low given the fact that right now he is dominating. I mean, he's one of the top 2 tight ends depending on your format. He's got 48 targets with 41 catches for 272 yards and 3 touchdowns, and I don't think that's going to slow down, and that's worth stating. Again, like I said, if you're on a competing team, he's absolutely someone I would hold on to. But as it stands right now, I just think that he's one of those players that's being a little bit inflated. I mean, over on Keep Trade Cut, he's currently the tight end 8. That's too high for me. I think you could find a way to get off of him if you're a rebuilding team, and you could net a pretty good pick or a pretty good asset coming back your way. I mean, he's been the safety blanket. His average depth of target is 63rd overall at the tight end position. It's a concern I have. I mean, he's always been one of those guys for Dak that's just kind of sitting there in the middle of the field and will make a ton of catches, a ton of plays, but he's not going to blow you away with some stat boxes. I mean, this year he is, but a lot of that is given the fact that CeeDee Lamb is gone. This offense is kind of finding its way, and they're just throwing the ball, and Dak is playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So again, like I said, if I'm on a competing team, I would absolutely hold Jake Ferguson. I totally get that. All these moves are team dependent or league dependent. So if you're trying to win, keep Jake Ferguson right now. But if you're rebuilding or you're not sure about it, I would absolutely be looking to find a way to either move off of Jake Ferguson and get someone else back. Maybe go get a Harold Fannin. I love his opportunity long term. You could shed some points right now and net another asset coming back your way. And I think that's a great move for a rebuilding team. I mean, yes, Jake Ferguson's only 26 years old, but eventually, again, CeeDee Lamb's going to come back and command a ton of volume out of this offense. Who knows what happens with George Pickens? Maybe he stays there, maybe he doesn't. But I do think that Jake Ferguson will come back a little bit, maybe get a little bit regression once CeeDee Lamb comes back. And in the future, he is certainly a great tight end to have, one of the top 12, or in my case, top 13 tight ends in the NFL right now for dynasty purposes, but I just think that his value is a little bit inflated where I'd look to capitalize if possible. But that's going to do it for my current dynasty buys and sells. If you want to check out my personal dynasty rankings, the link to the Patreon is in the description. You can get access to my complete rankings in there. It's in the shop. But if you want even more than just my rankings, you can also get access to our All-Pro tier, which will feature all of our rankings across the Face Off Sports Network. Or you can get into our Pro Bowl rankings, which has tons of other content. There's different tiers. If you have questions, throw them in the comments. You can also just join the Discord for free. We're answering questions all the time. You can catch me with the Mediators live every single Wednesday. If you have questions for your Dynasty rosters, throw them in the comments. I will absolutely come back and answer those with my thoughts. But until then, I'll catch you in the next one.